Hey everyone, it's the Miserable Movie Man back once again with another video. This video will be a movie review, but a slightly different one, as I'm going to be reviewing a Cantonese movie that just came out in the cinemas called The Last Dance. Some of you may know that I'm currently based in Hong Kong. My wife is Hong Kong Chinese, and this film is generating quite a lot of attention. I think people are saying it's going to be Oscar equivalent worthy buzz, and probably people will win some awards. So my wife was quite keen to see it, and we went to see it yesterday. While I was buying the tickets, the server asked me 3 times if I was okay seeing a Cantonese film. And as someone who grew up watching a lot of Cantonese films, mainly the martial arts genre of Jackie Chan and Jet Li and Donnie Yen and others, I'm pretty comfortable watching these films, and reading the subtitles is something I'm very accustomed to. But obviously the guy behind the counter didn't know that. Seeing an Indian-looking guy going to see a Cantonese film was a bit strange for him. But still, we went to watch the film, and I would say it was definitely an enjoyable film. Overall, I did come out of the cinema, having enjoyed the film. And clearly, this film is a tearjerker. I think it's set up in a way to really tug at the emotional heartstrings and make people, feel quite a strong stirring of feelings and emotions as the film goes on. I think my wife ran out of one packet of tissues by the end. But, as a non-Chinese person seeing a Chinese film, obviously I had a slightly different perspective on things. Not too different though, but I wasn't as familiar with the traditions. And this review does contain spoilers, but I'm going to ask the folks watching this video if you can tell me how true it is that when you are performing the Taoist / semi-Buddhist tradition of the fire ceremony, is it true that women are not allowed to be Taoist priests for the reasons stated in the film? That part was never really confirmed, other than characters saying throughout the film that women are not supposed to be Taoist priests, and here is the reason for it. Also, with my limited Cantonese, I did notice some of the subtitles were a bit off. I saw some things that they said that didn't translate well. And even one subtitle that I took to be innocuously meaning a nightclub, my wife corrected me that they meant hostess bar. So 2 completely different things. But I will say the film is very well acted, has a pretty good, tight pacing around it. There are a few scenes, I think, for emotional or cinematic effect that are a little bit extended, but I like the way they did that. The scenes in the funeral parlor where they're just showing the work, quite graphic in nature, which was surprising to me for a Hong Kong film. And I think some people had to look away, including my wife, during some of those scenes. But she enjoyed, and I enjoyed the sort of solitary nature of those scenes. They didn't go for bombastic music. They went for quite a wide shot, quite a lengthy shot, minimal music, just the sound effects potentially of the AC humming or what was happening in that area. And that sort of quietness, that solitude, it did convey senses of grace and thoughtfulness and solitary nature of the work pretty well. And of course, the ending, I think, had a lot of strings coming together, a lot of sort of elements and threads concluding. Now, what I will say is the film is not revolutionary in any way. I think the characters are fairly stereotypical. You have the old, hardened, traditional male patriarchal figure who's very set in his ways, does not want to acknowledge the changing of the times, has really forced his style of living and his beliefs onto his children, and has impacted their lives too. You, of course, have the slightly rebellious daughter who wasn't allowed to follow in her father's footsteps, even though that was her dream because of tradition. And she is one of those people that is always defending her father to everyone else, but getting chastised by her father, who really isn't very good at reconciling his own sort of masculine feelings with having a girl based on his old school traditions. And then you have the son, who was the favored son, who was the father's hope to take over the family business, who never really wanted to do that and was forced into it. And, he has to rebel slightly against his father towards the end. And he has his own family that creates his own pressures. And those are ones where he has to choose between, his child, his son and his wife, or his father. And that plays out in a pretty standard manner too. And then you have the sort of main character who came in from another industry, who has all these ideas he wants to bring in, who doesn't understand the traditions, and starts off, flailing, trying to find his feet, really trying to understand whether things can work, and having quite a few comical and miserable failures. But he has his own quality too. I mean, I think he brings an element and style to the business because he came from a different industry that wasn't there before. And that enables him to win people over, to make sure his business starts to grow, to sort of help other people see that there doesn't always have to be one way of doing it. So, with all those characters in there, as I said, none of them were in any way sort of original. They're all very kind of standard, stereotypical tropes of characters. But the writing was good. I thought there were some very good moments of writing in there. I thought some of the scenes that were very poignant, and some of the messages the film was trying to convey were very well portrayed and landed pretty well. And of course, as I said, the acting is great in it. So overall, I thought it was an enjoyable experience. Some of the camera work was pretty decent, as I said, in some of the funeral scenes, and definitely some of the special effects were pretty well done for the subject matter. But I mean, there were a couple of things I thought at one point that the main character would sort of end up with the daughter, who was a sort of rebellious daughter, and then he could become the favored son-in-law, but they weren't going down that route, which I think was good. I thought it was interesting how the daughter's having a relationship with somebody who's married, and clearly the guy's having an affair. All of a sudden, the wife just shows up and confronts the daughter. I don't know what Columbo level detective skill she has, but she needs to be hired by others. She tracked the daughter down very well. And finally, I think the scene where the other priests were very offended by the change of ceremony at the end and couldn't handle it and walked out. I thought it would have been a nice touch for them to slowly walk back in and acknowledge their friend who had passed, and really the impact that he had on their lives. But those are small little touches that I think might have made the film slightly different, possibly improved it, possibly not, I don't know. But as I said, this film is generating a lot of buzz. It was well acted, well scripted. I had a tear at the corner of my eye towards the end as well. Certainly wasn't crying buckets like my wife, but it will do well, I think, in the box office, and I think it will do well at the awards. So overall, an enjoyable experience. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. I clearly didn't understand all of the jokes and perhaps all of the cultural elements, not being Chinese myself, but I will watch any film and happily sort of see if I can take things from it and critique too. So hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below, and please like, share, subscribe to help support the channel. And as usual, catch you next time.